Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Missing. Glad that y'all are here tonight. Got a few things to catch up on before we get into the very morphing whiny July that I'm doing tonight. One is we got a little news on Mary Lee or Mary Lane, or I've been told it's pronounced Mary Lane. Hello, Kim. Apparently, the family is very concerned because they haven't heard from her in, of course, a week. I think I would be very concerned. One thing I wanted to say that is going back to Barry for a second, this is what Barry should be doing. He should be on the news every single night bringing attention to Suzanne. But we'll address that in just a minute. But I want to play a clip that the news media published tonight, if I can get over to it. This is the one where what it amounts to is this. The family is in Memphis, West Memphis tonight, and they have, how you doing, Austin? They have tried to get the Coast Guard to do put some boats in the water with some sonar to see if possibly her car is in the water, and of course she is in the car or possibly in the water somehow. Coast Guard said because they can't narrow it down, apparently when they pinged the phone, it gave a 3-mile radius of where she could be within that area, not just on that bridge. And that her mother even said that she thought that it sounded like she was out of the car, somewhere out of the car. She was confused, told her mother, I'm very confused at where I'm at right now. I'm scared. So she probably was having some type of anxiety issue. And I'm going to play this here and see if this is the right clip. If not, it's going to cover a lot of stuff. Bear with me here.
But first, tonight at 10, a family holding out hope. 7 days after a wife and mother of 3 disappears part way through a road trip on her way to seek medical help in Alabama. 41 Action News reporter Mackenzie Nelson spoke with the family again today and shares their story.
It's been 1 week since Mary Lane Carter left her Overland Park home for Birmingham, Alabama, and has not been seen since.
We just want to find her and find her safe.
Family says Mary Lane planned to seek mental health treatment at a Birmingham hospital where she once worked and is close to her parents' home. On August 1st, around 8:15 p.m. is when she hit the road.
I mean, every time I see not even a GMC at Acadia, but a car that's dark color with GMC on it, I mean, I'm about to just jump out of my seat.
8 hours after she left town, surveillance video shows Mary Lane checking into a hotel in West Plains, Missouri. Not long after, she's seen checking out and driving off.
Mary Lane checked in early Sunday morning at about 3:37 in the morning. She stayed just for a little while and left around 6:08 in the morning to continue her journey. So she didn't get much sleep. We know that she was sleep deprived.
After 8 p.m. on Sunday, Mary Lane has not been heard from. Her phone is turned off and her credit cards have not been swiped. A missing persons report was then filed here at the Overland Park Police Department, and that's when the search for her began.
Things are moving. Of course, they can never move fast enough when it's a family member and a loved one, but we're still holding out hope.
On Monday morning in northern Mississippi, a woman claims she gave Mary Lane $10 for gas.
That was not able to be confirmed by security camera footage, but we saw 2 employees who felt very strongly they did see her there.
If it was Mary Lane, Adam says that would have been the last known sighting of his wife. Since news spread of his wife's disappearance, tips have been coming in, but none have turned into leads.
I think what's been, reassuring is that tips are coming in. We don't know what tip is real, what tip's not. Just reassuring to know that people are looking.
Adam says his wife drove from Kansas to Birmingham many times. While he was in Memphis Friday to help with search efforts where her phone last pinged, he's now in Birmingham, hoping Mary Lane shows up.
This is just a gut instinct. I believe she's trying to get here, and so I want to be here to be ready to find her and take care of her.
In Overland Park, Mackenzie Nelson, 41 Action News.
Today, Mary Lane's family also shared how you can help from home. On a post from the Find Mary Lane Facebook page, those interested are encouraged to post flyers in public places. If you do, you are asked to comment on the Facebook page and let them know where you've posted them. If anyone has heard from her, please call police.
I know y'all said I can't believe they let her go alone. I just watched the video about 5 minutes ago, and I wasn't able to find it online where I could download it and let y'all watch it. They talked about getting boats in the water today at 3 o'clock. So I checked a Cabot case, this case, and Morphew case, a few others before I came on, and there's no new stuff except the fact in this case they did put some boats in the water this afternoon around 3, so they probably are still searching the water. They're supposed to use high-priced sonar to try to find out if there is a car in the water. I'm not too sure how many cars go in the water over there in Memphis, but I'm sure that there's other objects in the water, so I imagine it would be tomorrow before we'll find out if there is a vehicle in the water. I know some of you said he can't believe she went alone, but her brother-in-law actually addressed that. He said, we're getting a lot of comments who can't believe we let her go alone, but he said she's an adult. She was adamant that she wanted to drive it by herself. She's done this trip, he said, tens of times, or maybe over 100 times, going to her parents' house. So it wasn't like she was in, he didn't indicate that she was like, I've got to get to a hospital today. But it was strong enough that she felt like she was going to admit herself. And now I'm going to tell you, that's a pretty good indication that she had some problems going on, whether it was depression, anxiety, I would say probably depression. I think that's the easiest one to see that you got some type of problem. But we can all pray for her that they find her alive, that she's maybe disoriented and who knows what. It does concern us that they have not found any trace of her, especially of her car. All right, let's get into Barry. I have discovered some stuff through another YouTuber that has not been reported anywhere. And but first, I want to address some things about Barry. Barry, in his talk with Tyson Draper, he said a couple of things that are just either over-exaggeration or all-out lies. One of them, it'd have to be just a flat lie. He said that we have searched a 200-square-mile area. Now, I don't know how much you think that is, but I looked it up. A square mile is 6,400 acres. So that would mean that they searched 128,000 acres. And I don't think if you searched every single day, you would cover 128,000 acres by the time that he talked to Tyson, which was probably a week into the thing. So that was just a flat out lie. He didn't search that. Only you could do it probably with a helicopter, and you still are not going to be able to search it adequately. 128,000 acres, just a lie. And I don't know why he would exaggerate like that. That is just, you know what I mean? It's just, you can't believe anything he says when he says something like that. Also, he said a ranger friend had 400 tours in Afghanistan or Iraq, 400 tours. Well, an average tour is a year. We know that's not how it is. That'd be 400 years. So let's go down to three-month tours, which would be awful short tours. If you do a 3-month tour, that'd be 1,200 months, which would actually be 10 years. So he did 10 years of tour. It's just not feasible. It's just not possible. I talked to some guys that worked over there. He said that would be totally impossible. The war has barely been on, and Iraq was less than 10 years, and Afghanistan has been not where you could do it. 12,800. Okay, let me correct myself. 12,800 months. But anyway, it's regardless. My math is a little off, but thank you, Dina. But it's more than what any soldier would be doing. And why he would say that is just one, he can't tell the truth, or he over exaggerates, period. So when he's talking about the lion, if it was a lion that got her and drug her up the mountain or whatever, that, well, he should have found her. He searched 128,000 acres. You know, the family has reportedly came to. I'm getting an echo. I hear myself somewhere out there. He said that he told the family and told everybody he is cooperating. He said that, I think, one of his things, that he is cooperating, and he is doing everything he can to help law enforcement in the investigation. But one family member that wanted to remain anonymous reported to called. I've got to see. Hold on, man. I got to see if I can turn this. I hear something in the background. It's really just, it's too loud. Somewhere over here, I've got something on the computer in the other room on. I guess is too loud. It's way too loud for me. Okay, I think that solved it. He's told everybody that he wanted to cooperate with the investigation as much as possible because he wanted his wife back. But one of the family members contacted Profiling Evil, the YouTube channel, and they gathered information, and they found out that Barry has refused to take 2 polygraphs and 1 voice stress test. Now, a polygraph can be good to eliminate suspects. They're not admissible in court, but they have been. I mean, there's been tons of people that have just been prime suspects and taken this polygraph and they exonerate them. They just, even though they're not 100%, if you take a polygraph and then if you mess it up and then you take the voice stress analysis test and you mess that up, then they can pretty well say that something's up. But what they'll do, they'll polygraph you, and if there's some deceptions on stuff, then they can go back in the interview and try to narrow that down. And they'll take into account you're nervous. They will. But, Barry is supposed to be this person that wants to get out here and cooperate. And he says, I'm doing everything I can and I'm cooperating and all that, but he's not. He's not cooperating. And the family says he's even hindering the investigation. At least that one family member felt that. And I feel the same way. He's not going out. And just like I said, if it was my wife, my child, a friend's wife, I would be, if the husband won't do it, I'd be on the news every single night saying, look, guys, we need some help. We need some searchers. We need people to go door to door and pass out flowers. We need, I'd be out there every single night. And if the lawyer's telling him not to, it must be a reason why. Now, the one big thing, in the last couple of days, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, and the local sheriff's department passed out flyers all over town for Suzanne Morphew. Was Barry with them passing out flyers? No, he was not. So I want to know why he wasn't with them. I want to know why. It's just, if he is not guilty of this, then he should be out there. He should be out there every day doing the same thing, talking to people and talking to the press. Now, the family member also gave some information I think one of the most critical pieces of information. They said that Barry's truck data did not match his statement to the FBI. He said he left, he went up to Denver to do this job site thing, but they're saying the truck GPS computer inside his truck did not match what his statement said. So that may be why they did that go to his construction site and look under the cement and stuff, because they may have traced his truck over there before he went wherever he went. And you got to remember this. I want to know what job site he did in Denver. I want to know if they completed that job site in Denver. I want to know if they had any cameras on the way, or convenience stores, or toll bridges, or anything proving he went to Denver. I want to know if anybody saw him in Denver. There's been no reports on that, if anybody even saw him up there in Denver. You know, if he was up there, he should have stopped in a convenience store. He should have had somebody, a worker or anybody, that would come forward and say, yeah, he was there at so-and-so time. We were there all day together, whatever. There's, as far as I know, that's not happening. I don't see it anywhere. One thing somebody brought up, there's a guy that I want you to listen to, Jerry Hughes Investigations. He runs a YouTube channel, and he investigated this case also. And he had a guy on there. His last name's Smith. You're going to see him. It gives his own name. He said he used to work in Indiana, and he worked, he's a masonry guy. He, I guess, laid brick and block and various things to houses. And that Barry was working at a house up there and got into it with him and assaulted him. And he said he's got a raging temper. So that brings up a whole new thing. So I'm gonna play that for you. And this is something I haven't seen anybody else report on except for this guy. And let's watch this for a minute. And then we're gonna play one more of our friends talking about Suzanne.
All right, so go ahead. Let us know.
Okay, so I live here in Indianapolis area in Indiana, and I was a contractor on a job it was in December of 2018. And I'm a mason contractor. It's a big commercial job. And Barry was the landscaper on this job. And I had nothing but problems with that guy, and he was basically a job bully. And the very first encounter I had with him was not pleasant, but the last encounter I had with him, he assaulted me twice, and the second time I put him in a transport hold, or basically a headlock, to stop him from attacking me and my guys.
Wow.
The police come out, no arrests were made. And then later, about 6 months later, the Boone County decided to charge us both for disorderly conduct. Now, full disclosure, I was actually running for mayor of Indianapolis at the time, and I think this was a politically based deal, because this was really just a scuffle. But what I saw that day in this guy's eyes was nothing but evil. I mean, he was just so out of control. And he had been a bully to the electricians.
Wow.
And I just felt like, wow, I saw this story come across my feed this morning, and I saw that last name, and I saw Indiana, and I saw Colorado. And I knew that he had moved out there. And then when I saw what this was about, it just made my stomach turn. Because, you know, I have a psychology degree from the University of Rockies, just coincidentally.
Okay.
And I'm a mason contractor. I know that's unusual, but I just I've not seen that kind of evil in somebody's eyes, but only a few times in my life.
Wow.
And when I saw this story, I just thought to myself that this is not good. So, and I know people are wanting to know more and more about this, and I don't want people to jump to conclusions. And
right. Well, what did it seem like? How did that come about, where you got in the scuffle there? Like, what happened?
Okay, so he was not scheduled to be on the job for 3 days. We were finishing up the very last part, the dumpster enclosure of this building. And we had our scaffold in his way, and I had my guys there taking the scaffold down. And he came around, and I was getting ready to go to another job to get some supplies. And he came around and he threw my guys' tools out in the road and verbally assaulted them just after he had verbally assaulted the electricians. And my guys came and got me. I came back, I talked to him, and he was just unruly. So I was going to get the superintendent, and he started yelling at me and came over and body bumped me. I'm not leaving my guys back with this guy. I'm going to go get our scaffold out of the way. We're almost done. I'm moving on. And while I was taking one of the braces off, he came and blindsided me and pushed me down. And then I got back up, and then I took care of, I stopped him.
Now, this guy right here, he came forward on his own, not to, he didn't have any reason to lie. I mean, this happened in 2018, but that just shows, it just goes to show you one thing is, Barry is a bully. He likes to push people around. And at one point that I read about this, they built a $1.7 million house, or either bought this, but it's almost like a compound. One of our friends was talking, and I'm going to play that little tape here in a minute. But her friends was saying she's very social. She likes to do stuff with her friends. She likes to go places with her friends. But in Indiana, she was just like that. But Barry wanted to move out here to a place that was more confined. It was isolated. It was, she was pretty much almost homebound because she was new to the area. They were a good 20 or 30 miles away from even, any size town. I think Colorado Springs was like 80 or 90 miles away from any size town. And then you got Salis, or I think that's the way you pronounce it. It's a small little town. So, I think that maybe she was a little isolated, and I don't know if that was his own choosing or what, but I'm gonna play you one more little tape. It's about her. It's pretty revealing about how Suzanne was, and she went through cancer, fought cancer off twice. And so, I don't know. Maybe what I'm thinking is maybe they got into a scuffle. Maybe they got into an argument. Maybe she was wanting more of a friend, to see her friends more. Maybe she was wanting more to get out and be social. They got in an argument, things happened, and maybe he blew up. Maybe he just, this guy said he got out there and threw the electrician's tools out into the road. He was so mad. He was angry. And that tape goes on for probably another 15 minutes of him talking. I just didn't have enough room to share it. But he said he looked in Barry's eyes and saw pure evil. That's what he said. Pure evil. So I'm going to play this small tape here of the girl talking about Susan, and to give you a little background on this.
Now, the third month, Fox 21 has tracked the disappearance of a Chaffee County woman. Suzanne Morphew, wife and mother of two, was reported missing on May 10th, Mother's Day. And for the first time since that day, Suzanne's family is talking to Fox 21's Lauren Sharp. Now, Lauren, what did you learn from those conversations?
Scott and Taylor, a member of Suzanne's family, is concerned that Barry, Suzanne's husband, hasn't told investigators everything he knows. Her family wants everyone to shine a bright light tonight, like the ones you see behind me, to remind the public that she is still missing and just how much she's loved.
We'll do whatever it takes to bring you back.
For the first time, one of Suzanne Morphew's family members is talking to Fox 21 News. They want to stay anonymous, but say they're worried Suzanne's husband, Barry, is tampering with the investigation. This family member says Barry refused 2 polygraph tests and a critical analysis test. The family member also says data collected from Barry's truck doesn't match up with the information he gave investigators. As of Monday night, no clarification was offered on any of that information by the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office.
Everybody likes Suzanne. It was never like a popularity thing with her. It's just everybody liked her. Very calm, sweet demeanor. Just that girl that everybody likes. She never tried to get noticed or something. She had a natural beauty about her.
Michelle Davis says she and Suzanne grew up together. They attended the same church and they struggled together, both dealing with cancer, each offering the other strength on treatment days.
Getting to go through this journey of cancer to see where God had led us. And I remember she said that had encouraged her that day because she was at a low point, or like just not depressed or anything, don't misconstrue my words, that she was just it was encouraging words for her that day to get to go through this together. So
Suzanne's family says she beat non-Hodgkin's lymphoma the first time in her late teens. The doctors saying then the harsh treatment likely meant children wouldn't be in her future.
She lost her hair back then, because I remember her getting the wig and whatnot. She did talk about that during our conversations too, that she didn't expect to lose her hair this time, as she said it just thinned a little bit. But I did lose my hair, but she was telling me that it wasn't losing the hair that was the hard part. It was others treating you differently, or the way other people looked at you.
Another church friend says, quote, "I pray for Suzanne and for Mal, Macy, and Barry that the truth will come out regardless of what that truth is. We have assurance that if Suzanne has already passed away from this earth, that we will see her again in heaven," end quote. Holly Burnham thinking now of Suzanne's daughters. They're friends with her own children.
She's lots of fun, likes to do things with the girls. That's why I don't think that she would have left on her own. Those girls mean too much to her to do that.
Throughout Suzanne's life, friends say faith has carried her through. Now they're leaning on faith as they wait to learn more.
This whole thing is just shocking to think that somebody you knew has disappeared out of clear blue.
Today, investigators were handing out flyers and asking anyone with information to call the tip line. So far, 700 tips have been collected. I have reached out to Barry many times for an interview or a statement, but haven't heard back. There will be more pictures from people sharing their lights for Suzanne on our website, as well as the full quotes from friends. Guys.
Mystery that we would love to see solved. Thank you so much, Lauren.
Yeah, see, everybody says that Suzanne was this vibrant person that has beat cancer twice. I mean, that says so much about her, and the fact that she is quiet, shy type person, but she's married to a bully. She was married to a bully. Now, whether or not he bullied her at home, but I've seen those kind of people. I've worked with those kind of people where they are brash, they're got a bully type mentality, they lose their temper at the slightest thing, they want to get into it with somebody right away. They have no self-control of their emotions, so you can't tell me that they turn it off the minute they walk into the door. I mean, that to me tells me that most likely that something happened and he kind of went off. The more he remains silent, the more that he does not participate in handing out flyers, even something simple as that, handing out flyers with the police. Here, would you help find my wife? Can you give me any information? Can you help us at all? That just tells me that he doesn't want to help. He doesn't. And you can offer $100,000. You can offer $50 million if you know where the body's at. If you know where the body's at, and nobody's going to find her, and you know what happened to her, you can say, "Hey, I'll offer $100 million reward." Why? Because they know nobody's going to collect it. That's just one thing. Now, I'm not going back and saying Barry is the guy, but in my opinion, he'd be number one suspect right now, just because of his actions. If he's not guilty, go on TV every night and beg for somebody to help you find your wife. And if you're not guilty, take the polygraph. Take the voice stress. they take into account in polygraphs, they take into account in these voice stress tests that you're nervous. Maybe you don't believe in them. They take that into account. But for him not to be doing that, and then you got the police not saying a word, I think they're waiting on evidence, DNA, laboratory evidence, something that is going to steer them towards Barry. I think enough, I don't know. He did hire a lawyer, I know that, and I don't fault him for that, because if you got a missing person and if the police are staring down you, because 9 times out of 10, the husband is looked at number one, because of the facts is that he is there all the time, and you got to rule him out. You got to rule him out. And then you got to go back and find out if there was another person. Maybe somebody's having an affair and somebody got caught, or maybe somebody had an affair and there was an argument about it, and somebody got hit in the head or got killed accidentally. We just don't know what happened. I understand that somebody thinks there's a mistress. I'm sure that if there was a mistress, that there's many people that are investigating this and finding out about this, that it will be found out. It will be found out. The one thing I'm glad that everybody's doing on YouTube and everywhere else is they're keeping this alive. I'm talking about 3 months have passed, and he has made one pre-recorded statement. Just think about that. One. Not the police didn't know about it. Said, I believe Barry wanted Suzanne not. I don't know if that's true or not. We can all make speculations. He looks guilty. He looks guilty too. If he was arrested today, and you have him for a jury, and you just put the basic evidence out there, sure, the evidence of the taking or the hurting or anything like that will probably come in DNA and evidence, forensic evidence. But if you were on the jury, and just apart from any other thing, and if somebody was missing for 3 months and you tell the jury, well, the husband never went out and put a flyer out, he put a pre-recorded video out, he never would let the press talk to him about it, he never would talk about it, hand out any flyers, anything. Man, I'm just telling you, just Barry, if you're listening, buddy, you'd look guilty, man. Get out there and talk to the media. Get out there, even if you have to have your lawyer beside you, and talk to the media about how much you love your wife and you want her back, and how much you want these things to occur. How much you want, let's go out here and let's form search parties. And of course, now he says he serves 200 square miles, 128,000 acres. But you realize this, there hasn't been a single search party done after the first week of her discovered missing. Not one. There hasn't been but one statement by the police that I can know of, that I can find out, where they said no. And I heard somebody said in one of the videos, and I tried to find it, they said, this is a question that was asked here. Would law enforcement have already taken his phone? Probably. They probably have his phone. They probably have his computers in his house. They probably all have that. But you got to think about this with a phone. If he knew about this, he could actually erase most of the stuff on his phone. And if you remember how cooperative Apple is and other people, they will not open a phone for the police. It's almost impossible to get them to open the phone up because of the privacy issues. And I don't know why they're like that, but they are. They just now got the phones open to the Boston bombers at and you remember how long ago that was. They just now were able to do that, and I think they did it by their own means. They figured it out. But I think I heard in one of the other videos, maybe somebody here could tell me, that Barry made the statement, "Oh, they've cleared me. I'm cleared." But that if he said that, and if he did, and I think I remember hearing that from somewhere, that he said they cleared me. The police said nobody's been cleared. And if that is, that's just another lie by him. He can't tell the truth. Now, a short time after he did this assault, apparently he moved to Colorado. Now, what he did, and what's reported he did on this assault up there, is he took a diversion plan. And basically what that is, it's called a lot of different things in a lot of states. But what that is you basically agree to not get into any more trouble. You basically, as long as you're not in trouble for a year most of the time, because this is a misdemeanor, then your case is dropped just like it never happened. They call it withdrawn file. I've heard it. They call it pretrial aversion. They call it a bunch of stuff. They even do it on felonies where you get arrested, say, for possession of marijuana felony. And I know marijuana is legal in California, but this is like in other states. Or you get arrested for DUI. That's the classic one. Say you get arrested for a third-degree DUI, it's a felony. And they won't do this much with DUIs, but just say, or assault. And the victim says, yeah, we'll do that. The victim's got to agree. And you basically agree to go to anger management. You basically agree to a lot of other things. DUI, they have to go to substance abuse, they have to go to AA, just a whole lot of stuff. Now, Barry may not have been required to go to anything. Some of them just say, you don't get arrested in this year again. It's kind of like probation. You do this and everything's good. Your case goes away just like you were never arrested. And that's apparently what this guy that had this brawl out there at this place when Barry got mad and lost his temper did. He said Barry took a diversion. He did not take a diversion. He wanted a trial because he said, I'm not guilty of this, and y'all are just doing this for political reason. And then in the end, they dropped the charges on him, according to him. But Barry could still take an diversion on his case. Now, let me light this up for you. Read it because you can't read it so small. Camera footage on the gas, make timeline with close pinpointing whereabouts Susan is. I feel any day they're closing in. I do too. Denise, I do too. I've said this long, and I said that the arrests and charges are coming. I got a lot of views to that video, but I got a lot of hate from that video. Like, you shouldn't have said that. You have no evidence. Well, I'm telling you this. I haven't seen anyone else be named. There's 24 sex offenders in Chaffee County. I looked them up. 24. Now, usually when somebody's abducted and stuff, they look for sex offenders as number one. I haven't heard them mention that at all. Most of those sex offenders in Chaffee County, Colorado, are sex against a minor. Incest was a bunch of them, I was surprised. Sex with a minor, only a couple of them were rape first. And, you got to look at those. Even the ones that are sex with minors and sex with children, you still got to look at these guys. And I'm sure that the police have looked at these guys to find out where they were. And if they find DNA in blood anywhere, they'll look at that too. But I haven't heard one peep from anybody about the 24 sex offenders and if they even looked at them. And I think the reason is this. The truck data GPS doesn't match. He said this. The truck's GPS said, no, it didn't match. He refuses to take a polygraph. He's right, but it makes him look suspicious. The little pointers go up, bing, in investigation mode for investigators. refuses to take the voice stress test. No, they're just, he has the right to do this, folks. He has the right to say, no, I'm not doing anything. In fact, I'm not even talking to anybody. That is his right. But, okay, that's what I thought. He told me, highlight you there. He told Tyson that he had been cleared. That's what I thought. I looked back at that film and I couldn't find it, Miss BB. But that's just another lie. He has not been cleared. The sheriff's department came out and said that. Sheriff's department said that, and that he has not been cleared, that no one's been cleared, is what they said. And but I guarantee you, all these little lies like this, maybe that's why he didn't take a polygraph, because he knows he's a liar. I've noticed, the two top things that's just totally out there. Why would you say it? We've searched 200 square miles. That's stuff that you could check and just totally lie. In a week, you can't search 128,000 acres. It's not possible. And the fact he said his friend had 400 tours. If I was talking to somebody and he was spouting off this kind of stuff, I think, this guy's an idiot. He can't tell the truth. But refusing to do those two things, I know that's a top suspicion indicator. But he's not doing anything to help the investigation. He's not going out with these guys helping passing out flyers. He's not on the street corner every day. He's not on the news media every day. He's not appealing to the public every day. I would be satisfied if he's so scared that the public has been hounding him, is what he said to Tyson. I remember he said that. Oh, the press has been hounding me. They haven't been hounding him because he hadn't been talking to the press. If they're just calling him trying to get interviews, if he calls that hounding, I don't know what he considers hounding. But, I would be halfway satisfied if he put out a pre-recorded message every month, every couple of weeks. If he didn't want to do it in public, if he would just go on there and pre-record the message and say things, about how much he missed his wife, and he would appreciate it if everybody would continue to look for her, and let's don't forget about her, and tell what a great person she was. Haven't heard that one thing. He says in his whole thing when he's saying that, he's going, we miss you. We're looking for you. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's shocking that the lack of communication that he's done. Maybe Chris Watts, I thought that was probably one of the most horrific cases that I've ever heard about in law enforcement, period, was Chris Watts. The fact that he killed his little children right there, one in front of the other, and then put them in a oil barrel. That's sick. But I think yes, and then he said this is a private matter. What's a private matter? Can you elaborate on that? What you're talking about? If you report your wife missing, the police involved, it ain't private. Everybody wants to know where she's at. Everybody deserves to know where she's at. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. He said he'd do anything to anything to get her back. I'll do anything to get her back. You're not doing anything. You're not doing anything to get her back. You're not volunteering to clear your own name. And apart from that, okay, let's just say that's not even in the picture. Let's don't even consider the lie detectors. Let's don't even consider the other. Okay, I'm okay with that. You don't want to take them because you're afraid that because you're nervous about it, that they'll think you're guilty and that you don't trust the police. That's fine. Let's just forget about that. Let's don't even consider it. What is he doing to help get her back? He offered $200,000 reward. So what? If you know where she's at and you know you're guilty or something, you know who did it, you don't care. You could offer $1 million reward, 10 million, 50 million. You're not going on the media every day. You're not pleading to the public every day. You're not putting out messages. You're not making yourself available. You're not doing press briefings. They're like the guy that his wife is missing, that Marilyn Carter. He's been on the news every night. He's talking to the media every night. He's doing every media channel he can get on. He's on there. He's begging for help find her. They're asking to put posters out in every city in America. They're begging the Coast Guard to get out there and search the rivers. They're doing everything they can to get her back. Everything. The media is talking to him. He's answering the questions. What are you afraid of, Barry? What kind of questions are you afraid the media is going to ask you? You're afraid they're going to ask you, did you kill your wife? Did you kidnap her? You could say, no, I didn't kill my wife. No, I didn't kidnap her. Why are you saying that? I want her back. I love her. What are you afraid of? That's my one question I want to know. What is he afraid of? Is he afraid he's going to be called out on these little things right here? Did he lie about those things? Well, I mean, say, well, I'm an exaggerator. But at least I'd be on the news every night. That's right, every night. They'd be sick of seeing me. The news people would be sick, absolutely sick of seeing me. I'd be calling them every day. Hey, can you run that ad again? Can you ask the public to do that? Can you interview me again tonight? Because we got to find her. The pre-recorded message was a joke. It was a joke. The police didn't even know he did it. That's what I heard. The police never knew he was going to do it. They asked him to do a message. He refused to do it their way. He wanted to do it pre-recorded. What he should have done was to get his whole family around him. Everybody out there with the police and say, look, we don't know what happened to her. We want to know what happened to her. We want this thing. Please help us find her. We need some type of information every night. But you know what he does? He goes on there with Tyson, and Tyson was good about it. He recorded it. I'm so glad he did, because later on, that's going to come back to bite him. He walked out there, and what did he do first thing? Oh, the bike was found down here. First off, I don't ever think she ever was on a bike. That's my thing. I don't think she ever took a bike ride. I think it happened before daylight. That's what I think it happened. That's just my opinion. But I don't think she ever got on her bike. There's no evidence other than her bike wasn't at the house when the lady saw it, and the bike was found down there. No evidence that she was even on the bike. Now, he goes and tells Tyson, oh, the police monkeyed up the scene. They took this bike up here and they touched it, and they let people touch it, and they walked up and down in front of it. I don't know if they did or not, but if it was me and I was trying to get the police to work on my wife's case, I wouldn't be mad-mouthing the police. All he was doing is he was muddying the water when the guy, in case, all right, let's just say this. Say the police just had enough and they prosecute Barry for this. They got some evidence. They go up there and do the bike, and say, well, you can't prove that she was on the bike because the police let everybody touch it, fingerprints, all this, DNA. We walked them down you know what I mean? He's blaming the police. He's putting this stuff out there to muddy the investigation before the investigation even gets started. That was the wrong thing to do. I saw it right away. Don't badmouth the police or their investigation when your own wife is missing, Barry. Not unless you had something to do with it. Let's see here. Yeah, that could be. Personally, I think if he was involved or whoever's involved, I don't think that she'll be found anywhere close. I think it'll be 20 miles, 30 miles away, that it's some hunter will find her if she's buried out there. And it's just, Colorado is so wooded, forestry, so bears, mountain lions, all kinds of critters that can destroy the scene. I think that if she is truly missing and dead, I think she'll be found later on, maybe 10, 15, maybe never, far away, 30, 40 miles. Just think, you could actually go 5 to 10 miles away from there in complete forest type stuff. And she was so small and he was so large, he could carry her a couple miles. It wouldn't be easy, but he could do it. And I think part of this GPS, that they will track that truck and find out where she is. Now, here's the one thing you got to look at. If you go look at that pictures of the house, it looks like he's got an old truck out there in his yard. I can't see it very good from there, but let's just say that that's not the only vehicle he has. And he has a truck that doesn't have a GPS in it. You get a truck in the 80s model truck or even 90s model, they're not going to have any of that in it. We drive a 2010 Jeep, and I don't think it has it in there. But you could take somebody anywhere you wanted to in that vehicle, and it'd never be discovered. And I don't trust the fact that everybody is just assuming that that she got hurt on a bike or got abducted. I just don't see it. I don't see she got abducted. She might have got abducted by her own husband. But here I am. I'm doing something I really don't like to do. I'm putting blame when there's no evidence. But we do have a lot of circumstantial situations that is pointing towards Barry. We have a lot of, the two little white lies, call white lies, over exaggerations. That just proves his personality. The fact that he refused to take 2 polygraphs and the voice stress thing, I can understand that even if you're not guilty, you'll be nervous about it. But if it can put look, if you know this, Barry, look, I'm going to talk to Barry for a minute. These things make you nervous. You may show a little deception, but here's the thing. If you can be ruled out from being a suspect by these polygraphs and this voice stress thing, if they can rule you out, then they won't have to waste their time following you around or trying to establish a case on you, because it'll be ruled out. And then they can look at other avenues. I don't know. Just, I'm going to put this up here so you can read what she says. Sometimes I can't read a comment if it's small. Yeah, that's true, unless he could see it all over the embankment, or unless some deputy, said we found the bike and everybody runs up there. It's just a lot of things. We don't know how the bike was found, who found the bike. We don't know if there's fingerprints on the bike other than Suzanne. We don't know if there's DNA on the bike other than Suzanne. We don't know if there's Suzanne's fingerprints on the bike. We don't know if any of it's been wiped down. We don't know first off, we don't know that she was on the bike, period, because of the fact that the neighbor came over, saw 2 cars in the driveway, but the bike was gone. Now, I asked myself, was he so familiar with the house that she knew there was a bike there, that they didn't store it in a storage room or put it in another area? Was she so familiar with that? I'm questioning that, because I don't know how that the neighbor would even know that. I think it may have been assumed that, or maybe Barry asked, was the bike there? Maybe she's on the bike. He mentioned something about the helmet too. She always wears a helmet. I kind of think maybe, if some article of hers was found way down from where the bike was found, and I'm not saying that it wasn't put there by somebody that took her, but it could have been thrown there by the suspect to draw attention, to make it look like she traveled down that area. I don't buy that an animal took her. There's just no way an animal would take her. If they took her, they'd find her. They'd find her. An animal's not going to take her 5 or 6 miles away to eat her or to do something. They didn't find any clothing, any scratch marks, they didn't find any drag trails. Didn't find it. He said, "Oh, it rained." I don't believe it in a minute. I don't believe it. I don't believe she was abducted by a stranger either. I don't believe that she drove her bike off there, got run off the road, and she wrecked, hit her head, and wandered, and now they can't find anything of her. I don't believe that a bit either. So, I think, I want to light this up for you here, Stacey. I heard that too. He first was working first he said he was at training, both of these statements, and also that they put the bike in the shop. The whole idea, they put the bike in the shop a week before. Now, there was a bike repair guy that said Susan did bring her bike in for repair. So that thing, I think that's a pretty good guess. Yes, it was. Now, he didn't say repair, but I think he serviced it. He might just serviced it for the upcoming riding area, like maybe the spring or in the summer they planned on doing a family bike, servicing a bike. So what if you got the money, and apparently they did, they may have done that. But he did. I did mention something, or hear somebody mention that he said that he was in training, which the volunteer fire chief said no, he wasn't. That there was no such training up there. So that was kind of weird, or a lie. And then the fact that he was going up to Denver because they had a job starting the next day and had a rookie working on it, and he wanted to get everything settled on Mother's Day. Now, I don't know. One thing is, it sounds like it's a job on a house. Now, you never mentioned a business. So do these people that the job is on the house, did they see him up there? Do they want somebody up there in the morning on Mother's Day? I don't get it. I really don't get it. He went to prepare a job for a rookie guy. I just want to know. I want to know who that guy is that he's preparing the job for. I want to know if anybody saw him up there. I hope they checked every service station, everything all the way up there to see if he stopped in, got in on film. Did anybody see him in Denver? Anybody? I want to know that. I haven't heard that. Does anybody see him in Denver? I think that's going to be, supposedly he told one of the people working around his house that he had a gun missing, and that he can't be blamed because he has an airtight alibi. He was in Denver. I don't know what the airtight alibi is. I agree, Barb. Here's the thing. That's why I don't believe it happened Mother's Day. Okay, you hear what I'm saying? If Barry's involved, let's just go with that. If Barry's involved, I don't believe it happened Mother's Day. She was last seen or talked to that evening, supposedly text or had FaceTime or something with a good friend of hers. But between the time she hung up the phone to the time he was supposed to leave for Denver, it's a big window. Big window. A lot of things can happen. They could have had a fight. She might have heard something on the phone, said something to him. He's explosive. He's got an explosive temper. I mean, this guy, that we played the film of, he said he was pure evil in his eyes. Said he was a bully. Said he had an explosive thing. His actions were explosive. Threw the tools of the electrician into the road. Threw his stuff. Belly bumped him. Blindsided. Knocked him down on the ground. Threatened his people. Man, that isn't a professional. That isn't a professional businessman. Somebody with that type of explosive anger. Now, I know this guy has talked to the FBI about this. He said on that film later on, the portion that I could not get to record to y'all, he said, I talked to the FBI about this. So the FBI knows about his explosive temper. So we're building kind of some motive around this. We don't know what got him explosive. Maybe he had an argument with his wife. She is the meek one. I kind of figure it, and I'm not being insulted at all. She reminds me, her personality reminds me of this quiet mouse, doesn't want to cause problems, loves her family, loves her kids, or everything. She's trying to make the family at peace, and he's the big bully. He's the guy, the big cat. He wants to be in charge. He moves them all the way from her home in Indiana, where all of her friends are, family farm up there, goes straight down there and builds a compound, or buys it. I don't know if they bought the house or builds the house, a compound in the middle of nowhere. Now, he's a big hunter. I can understand that. But you see how isolated she could feel? How isolated any one of us would feel if we were taken out of our home where our parents were, our friends, everything, and transported to a area that, sure, it's a great looking house, and Colorado's a great area for hunting and fishing and all that. But, to be plucked out of a home environment and put into another environment that is isolation, so she may have been depressed. She may have been in the state of depression. I'm not saying she's suicidal, because she loved those kids. That woman said she loved those kids more than she loved her own life. And I don't believe she would take her own life. And that's not even what I'm saying at all. I believe that she was probably unhappy, and that something might have caused some type of argument, and the bully in him exploded. And for whatever reason, him saying his gun's missing, who knows, man? I just don't know. But I think there is truly, this case is getting interesting. And it's getting longer. It drags out. The family has got to be stressing out, and they've got to be aggravated at Barry. I mean, I'm not even part of the family, and I'm aggravated at it. The bike ride idea, I don't know how initially it came up, but I don't believe that she was ever on a bike. I don't. As far as I know, that they had some security cameras in the area. I don't know if any security cameras ever caught her on the bike. A lot of the people say the security cameras wasn't even on because that's out of season, And plus, you got to think about this. With spring and summer coming in, the foliage is out. So a lot of this stuff's going to be hidden by foliage. You're not talking about the fall when everything's off the trees. So, you're right. Abusers isolate. You're exactly right. If you are an abusive husband, you're going to isolate yourself, so you won't be into a situation where you're going to do that. Uh, I don't think there's no indication that money was involved in this. Could have escaped his attack, lost hikers packs he put to make me wonder. You know, I don't know exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly about that. I know Tyson, I think, found some buckets in the woods with food and stuff on them, but those were like hiker buckets. They do that all the time on the Appalachian Trail. People put these food containers out for the hikers, kind of anonymously, actually, for through hikers that hike the Appalachian Trail. But the one thing is that he did too pretty quick, and I think that was to protect. I thought maybe he was trying to protect all their finances, but then I thought about it. Probably it's to protect her family from filing some type of lien or something. The family farm they had up for sale for a while in Indiana, and that they apparently didn't sell it or something. I read where they basically had to take it off the market or whatever. But since I don't know if this happened since her disappearance or not, but I know he filed a guardianship on all property and finances, and basically says that I am in control of all this now until she is found. And so either they sold the farm in the meantime, or either the farm is worth a lot of money up there, and that's what I've heard, that there could be a huge amount of money involved if I'm not talking about in the millions, but up there a good bit of money, maybe several hundred thousands, if not more, and that if something happens to her with this guardianship, he gets the money. So that may be considered a little bit of a motive there. I don't know how the guardianship is. This week I'm gonna try to research that and see if I can find a copy of that guardianship and read what all it has. But it's one other thing that I know the family wants the kids to stay out of this. They don't want everybody investigating the kids. But I would like to know if the kids are staying with him, because one is a juvenile and one's not. And if the kids are not staying with him, that could have a big tail. Maybe the kids know how the family atmosphere was, and I don't know, Yeah, what is it? I guess it's Leah. This is a very interesting little thing that came, tidbit. They did find a note at the store that said Baby Blue Helmet. Now, that could be, if somebody was going to do something to her for somebody, in other words, he hired somebody to do something, then they may say, well, she rides a bike every morning up the mountainside and she wears a baby blue helmet. That could be very good thing. And they said it handwriting on the packages, though. Yeah, and or it could have been a suspect trying to throw off law enforcement onto somebody else. I'm just looking at it from an objective point of view. If you want to kind of throw something off, then it was pretty. I saw the note; it was pretty almost illegible to me. I'm sure it looked like it was trying to make like it was illegible. Just so he might have just took that down there at the store and dropped it on the floor, and somebody discovers it and says, oh, evidence. And it could be evidence. I'd like to have that thing DNA. If it was me and I picked it, I'd have it DNA tested and fingerprinted. Even if the store clerk picked it up, you can eliminate them. People stick to what they think that is good in. They are the BS maybe. Say a student interaction with Tyson, possibly the idea of the bike ride to the neighbor. Yeah, I like I said, I always said I didn't think she ever got on the bike, especially after one is they do 2 search warrants at the house. And I talked about this before. Do you know how hard it would be to get another search warrant? I'm telling you, it's almost impossible to go back for the second bite of the apple. It's almost impossible. And I don't care what kind of case you're working. You do a search warrant, you do the first one, you stay there for 6 or 7 hours gathering all this information, and yet you want to go back? You know, it is almost impossible. Apparently it was possible because they went back. But I'm telling you, I have personally done over 100 search warrants. Maybe more. I would say more. We did 90-something search warrants in almost 3 months in Huntsville when I worked for in North Alabama. And down in my other job, I did them all the time. It was nothing for me to do a search warrant. I even wrote search warrants for other divisions. If homicide, they had a shooting or something, they needed a search warrant done, I did the stuff. They told me what to write as far as their evidence goes, and I did the warrant because I've done so many of them. I mean, you get in. I mean, there's certain things you got to name. Where are you going? The address, the house, the color of the house. Where on the map does it sit? The northeast, northwest side. What kind of cars you need to search in the property? Why you need to search it? What gives you the right to search it? Your probable cause. You got to have probable cause, not just reasonable suspicion. You can believe there's all kinds of evidence in there. You'll never get in the house. You got to have somebody to see something, or a part of the crimes in the house, or so much evidence will lead you to believe that a crime was committed in the house. So what I think happened, I think the first search warrant was done. They gathered all this DNA and other evidence, forensic evidence. They took it to the lab and boom, something pops up. They find something they didn't expect the first time around. Or they had information that led them to believe that other evidence is still in that house. They went to a magistrate, but still it's almost impossible. The evidence was very, very good to get them in the house again. It was very good. I'll tell you why they sealed the warrant. They sealed it because they don't want to let the suspect know it's close. It's coming. Yeah, I agree with that. It's just, unless you've been in law enforcement like I have, you have no understanding about search warrants and how hard it is the second time around. You really don't. It's just, I mean, I personally have left a expensive piece of equipment of my own that I purchased inside a house of a search warrant. Went back to the judge. Judge, I left it underneath the bed. I was looking under the bed for drugs. I left it in there. Sorry about that. But Judge, I know I left it in there. One bite of the apple. Now, if I had said I left an evidence bag in there and it had his blood in it, still going to be hard. It's just not easy to do. And I'm not saying it's impossible because they did. But it must have been some type of probable cause, some type of evidence led them to be able to go. Either they had information they didn't have. either they discovered something forensically or whatever. That's why they got back. Only other way they could go back is if Barry said, yeah, you can come on back in the house, which he did not do. But even at that, I would still get a search warrant. Even if he said, come on in, you can search all you want to, I have nothing to hide, still get a search warrant. Because if you discover evidence in there, then it's legally, you're in there legally. He could always say, well, I felt threatened. They said, oh, this, it's just easier to get a search warrant, but at the second time around, it's almost impossible. And I think Profiling Evil even talked about that is the second bite of the apple is very, very difficult. Give the most hope for anyone on YouTube that this case will be solved soon. Now, how do you know that? I mean, do you have any information that you could share? We would love to hear it. I just won't tell anybody. We would love to hear if anybody has any information. And if you're saying go Vols, if you knew how much of an Alabama fan I am. Around Alabama, they actually are going away from this a second. The Tennessee Vols, they have hate week in Alabama, University of Alabama, when they play Tennessee. So there's no love lost there in football. But I love Tennessee anyway, at least the state. But go Vols, do you have any information that you think that would lead you to think that it will be solved very soon? I mean, I have my thoughts. I think within the next 3 months, but I think one thing is helping this case immensely is all the pressure he's getting. He may not be getting it from the press or police right now, but you don't think these YouTube channels are causing some pressure? I guarantee you they are. Every time you clicked on I hear you. Well, I appreciate that. I do. I think there's a lot of people like me, though, that are retired law enforcement that see things and believe that there is. I think there's a lot, since the FBI is involved and the Colorado Bureau of Investigation is involved. I can assure you that they're top notch. I mean, I said this before, I'll say it again. Don't believe everything you hear on TV about the top levels of the FBI being no good. They could be rotten. I don't know. But I know the guys in the field, those guys are top notch. I've worked with some of the absolute best. I would trust my life with them. I have trusted my life with them. And I know several that are full-time FBI right now, and I would trust them as well as I would anybody in my family, and they are very, very good. So there's no doubt in my mind this case would be solved. And I think that a lot could be helped with this case. Barry, if you're not guilty with this, you can do a lot to help this case. Eliminate yourself by a polygraph or a voice stress test and make an agreement with them. If I flunk this polygraph, I want my own polygraph examiner to test me. That'd be just a way to saying you don't trust their polygraph. But if you make them give you 2 or 3 polygraphs, because you're not going to fail every one of them if you're not guilty. And that would eliminate them from looking at you. And then they could concentrate on somebody else. They could go check everything they need to check. The sex offenders, 24 sex offenders in the county. And then I didn't even get into the surrounding counties. But he needs to try to eliminate himself from the pie, you know? I mean, I don't know how many FBI and Colorado Bureau of Investigation guys, CBI, are up here, and then the Sheriff's Department too. But have you looked on your news of how many missing people you got in your state, Colorado? You've got a lot. And I think because it's just so much of a rural area, most of these people have been tied to murders or suicides or an accident. And most have been found. I think there's a couple more in the area. But listen, if I'm not trying to tie those people to this, and I'm calling it a crime. I'm not calling it just a disappearance. I'm not trying to tie any other missing person to this. I'm just simply saying these guys have got their hands full. The locals do. So the FBI coming in and Colorado Bureau of Investigation coming in, they came in to help. And believe me, I think it's going to be solved. But as I say again, Barry, you can do a lot to help us focus on somebody else by just eliminating yourself from the picture and getting out there every day in the news and getting your story told, making yourself look guilty. Well, thanks everyone for coming out tonight. I really appreciate everybody that comes out. I still want to do this 3-part podcast, and I'm hesitant about starting it right now because of these 3 missing people that I feel like need to be noticed and need to be addressed. And I'm not going to leave this case alone. But in the future, and I'm not saying next week or even the next week, I'm going to go into the people of the reservations and Indians throughout the United States that are missing. It's unbelievable how many that have been missing and murdered. And I think we got to, address that at some point. Let's see, who said something? Did I miss something there? Did I miss something? Yeah, I say, he does lie. Oh, her daughter? His daughter, the adult, I'm assuming. I'm assuming that it's adult. But you know what? Like I said, I don't know her, and I don't want to bring her up in this. I think that suspicions are bounding towards Barry, and he's bringing it on himself. You refuse to take a polygraph, you refuse to take a test, you refuse to hand out your flyers with your wife, you refuse to go on the media, you refuse to give a statement, talk about it. You're not on the media every day. I'll challenge Barry. If you want to come on my show anytime you want to, buddy, I'll have you on and you can tell your whole story. And I promise I won't ask you a thing. You just come on here and talk to the people and tell your story. And if you don't want me to say a word about anything, I won't do it. I'll offer you that anytime you want to. Anytime you want to. A free reign to say anything you want to say. I don't think you'll do it. I don't think you got the guts to do it. Now, I'm wondering, and like I said, I don't want to go into too much about the kids, but I'm wondering if the kids know, they have to know they live in the house. If there was a violent atmosphere in the house. S.A. Potts, if you know that, I don't want to share it here, but if you could email me, or if anybody's got any information you want to talk privately, you can email me at the missing live stream at gmail.com. I don't want to get into it here because, like I said, I don't want to bring the kids into it. The family don't want the kids brought up on these type of podcasts or YouTube. But if you know something you think could be good for me to look into or research, please email me. It's the missing livestream at gmail.com. The missing livestream at gmail.com. And I promise you that I'll keep any information you want me to private or anything, but I'll give you this heads up. If it's something I believe the police need to know, I will pass it on to them. Now, getting to that, and then I'm going to go. I had a case that I did, a part of this case on the Leah Cavett. I had a girl post in some of you may have saw it, post some information of where she believed the girl was tied up and kidnapped by. I asked her to email me. She didn't do it. I asked for more information. She didn't do it. Finally, I found her on Facebook. I did some research, found her on Facebook, and I sent her a private message and say, please talk to me about how you got this information so I can share it with law enforcement. She finally responded, and then I gave her an email, and I said, please email me. I received an email today on it. Now, I've already passed that information on to Hollywood, Florida detectives. She still will not tell me how she believes this. She gives me this impression that she has doing her own investigative work through social media and has, for some reason, thinking these people, this is where she's at, tied up in this house. She won't tell me how she knows that. She won't tell me if it's personal knowledge or not. So let me just, if you're listening, and I don't see her on here, but maybe she'll watch this later. If anyone's listening that has direct information where somebody's at, I'm going to tell you what you need to do. Tell me why you believe that. If a social media account says something, do you think it is? Tell me that. If you have personal knowledge, you've talked to somebody that told you this person's there. You know for a fact because you talked to a friend or you saw them there. Not that you looked at their Facebook or their Instagram and you know they're friends or an ex-husband or an ex-boyfriend and you believe she's in that house. I can't give that information to police like that. I got to have some other information that's going to know that, because if not, they will file 13 it. They'll throw it in the trash. And it's wasting their time. If all you're doing is researching and doing something like me, that you believe this is happening because you saw something on social media, give me the webpage. I'll look it up too. And if I feel like there's something that police can use. Now, I'm not saying I'm better at this than you, but I spent 33 years in law enforcement. I've worked homicide. I've worked robbery task force. I worked rape task force. I worked 20 years in narcotics. I've been testified in federal court. I've testified in city court. I've testified in county court. You know, I've worked with U.S. Customs. You've got to tell me something that I can use, okay? And I'm not fussing. I don't mean to fuss, but I just got to have more information than what you're telling me you saw it on social media. So I've sent a message to her like that, and you know, all I can do, I can pass on what I believe that law enforcement can use, and I will promise you I will do that. And it's not just an easy pick up the phone call, hey, investigator so-and-so. I had to jump through a bunch of hoops to get it to the right spot and send it in a written message with pictures of her, pictures of the websites, everything, because I didn't have enough information. I'm going to let them contact her, and maybe they will. But I kind of think that guy that we talked about yesterday is directly involved in that. The black guy that said that he was the last thing that saw her. Leah Meyer, please send me an email and let's talk. And one other question. Did you used to live in Albertville, Boaz area? Do we know you and your husband from there? We may do it. I don't know. We need some people. I knew they had your last name. I just didn't know if y'all were kin to them. But if you could send me an email, I sure would appreciate it. I will do anything I can to find her and find out where she's at, or find out who did something to her or took her. Yeah, I agree. I don't think she ever on a bike. So when that's just, I think that was staged myself, but I don't have any evidence to say that. It's just a theory that I have. All right, so I took up all of your time I need to tonight, but if you would, email me, please, to the missing live stream at gmail.com and let me see what you have to say. I really would love to hear your opinion and what your knowledge is in this, and especially with that person that you were talking about. And like I said, I really don't want to address the kids on here just because the family doesn't want it. And we respect the family of Suzanne. And I want to make sure that they are at least stressed as possible. If you could send me the email, I sure appreciate it. Okay, well, we'll be back Friday. And what I'm hoping for Friday, I'm hoping we have Mary Lane or Mary Lee Carter found safe, alive. I hope we have news on the Cabot girl. Only one thing I want to address with the Cabot girl, I looked her up on NamUs. It's where it's the law enforcement missing. You can join as a citizen too if you'd like. Law enforcement uses the advanced modes on this to find out bodies found and try to track missing persons. They have not put her in NamUs yet, and it may just be because they're busy, or it may be the police don't think she's been abducted. They may think she left on her own, and I'm just putting that out there. But I'll check it again tonight. But I'm going to go and let you go, and we'll hope to see everyone here back on Friday. And I would ask you a special request. If you could subscribe, if you're not subscribed, if you could punch that little like button down there, that helps YouTube. Share my videos. And if you know anything, email me or just post a comment, and we will look into it, I promise. And it may be that if you recommend somebody that's missing, and if I can't get to it right now, I promise you I'll look into it and maybe do a future episode on this. And if you could share my videos too, that would really help. We are closing in on 200 subs. And for a short amount of time as we've been online, I'm very proud of everybody that has taken the time to subscribe. We're still only getting about 14 to 15 people, 14% of anybody that watches the videos don't subscribe. So, a lot of people watch them and they do not subscribe. But hey, I can deal with it. I'll talk to y'all about it if all I ever talk to is who's here now. Because I believe if one person might see this out there and may think about something that they know about it, and we can get these people found. And if there's a crime involved, we get the people that did it in prison. So thank you very much. I put at the end of this, and so it doesn't, some people ask me what I'm doing. I'll cut on this one screen that basically just plays like the intro. And what that allows me to do, when these videos quit processing, I can put two little things YouTube puts up there that allow people that watch my videos to go back and watch other videos that I recommend. And I'll even do that above my head here, put a little thing there that says, please watch this video. It's just another way to help out my channel. So I'm going to do that right now. But I do thank you, believe me, this means more to me than you will ever know, that y'all would take the time to just come out and listen to me, because I can't talk too much. So anyway, see y'all. Y'all have a great rest of the week. Stay safe from COVID, and God bless every one of you. And we will see you Friday night at 7 o'clock. Good night.